masculinity and victim mentality can't go hand in hand. If you are constantly blaming society, blaming the world, blaming women, you are not taking accountability. You might feel justified and entitled, but it won't solve your problem. However, when you do take accountability, perhaps you have a chance to thrive in this world. I'm not saying it's easy, but as a man, if you want to embrace your masculine side, you have to take accountability and be more assertive and not blame the world. I'm Sebastian, your addiction recovery coach. And if you want to know why victim mentality can go with masculinity, stay till the end. When I was in my teenage years, my late teenage years and my early 20s, I was really into all that politics and all that conspiracy theories and everything related to geopolitics and all that stuff. And I told myself, I knew the truth. I knew everything. And you start becoming incredibly negative, and also you start becoming a person that blames the rest of the world but does not take any accountability. I have a friend who will remain nameless who's really into politics. But the thing is, when you are really into politics and you think this should change and you work your way to changing stuff in the world, which can be good, don't get me wrong, but your whole life is in disarray, that becomes a problem because you are trying to change something outside of you, but you are not trying to change yourself. You have more control over yourself than you have on the world. And it's already hard enough to change yourself, and you want to change the world. And I do believe that a lot of what we see in the world is the projection of what we have inside of us. We project that hatred we have in our life outside. We project the uneasiness, the lack of well being outside into the external world. And that becomes a real problem because the more we blame the outside world, the more we probably have things to deal with inside of us, within. So you can blame the world, blame society, and be into conspiracy theories all day long till the cows come home, and still your life could be in shambles. Your life could be shitty. But it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you cannot get a woman. It's not your fault that you can't get a job. It's the economy. It's woman. It's feminism. So on and forth. There's so many ways to blame society and blame women and blame things that are seemingly working against you. Or you could blame yourself. But even blaming yourself is not accountability. You could do both. You could do either one, or you could do a mix of everything. But blaming whether society, woman, or yourself does not mean accountability. Accountability means that you are taking ownership. Masculinity, healthy masculinity is strong. Maybe some of you have read or are aware of the four archetypes: king, warrior, magician, lover. The shadow side of those archetypes is unhealthy masculinity. And a lot of these come from being a weakling person or a tyrant. The king shadow, the active and the passive, is the tyrant and the weakling. The weakling, generally speaking, blame society, blame others except himself. The tyrant is paranoia of others, so he wants to project his uneasiness on society. That's why he becomes a tyrant, and that's why he's paranoia. But the warrior, the magician, and a lover can also become addicted, can become a weak person, can become a trickster. All of this is the unhealthy side of masculinity, and a lot of it stems from being that victim and not taking accountability. In order for us to integrate the shadow side of those archetypes, we need not to accept that victim mentality. We need to embrace that shadow in order to integrate that shadow and become a healthy masculine person. As I said, for many years, I was blaming society and I was blaming women. When I was in my late 20s, I was blaming society, blaming conspiracy, blaming the economy, but it was never my fault. And later in life, when I was in my early 30s, I blamed women because I was into red pill. So all of this is a game of blaming others and not taking accountability. When you take accountability, you can develop that healthy side of masculinity, and you can not only try and question yourself and integrate that shadow side, but you can also become a more self-actualized person, a more whole person. I remember this quote from Floyd Mayweather: if you wait for the person in the White House to change your life, you are thinking of it the wrong way. The president does not change anything in your life. Yes, it can change a lot of measures and change society to a certain extent, but you should not wait to have perfect circumstances in order for you to change yourself and also not become a victim. And that is why I'm trying not to blame others and trying to not be too political and get too involved into politics. I see the trap. I see it's an avenue for your hatred to come out. It's an avenue to point fingers and blame things, blame society, blame women, blame feminism, blame wokeism, whatever the case might be. And all of it, this prevents you from being accountable with your life. And the more you can be accountable, the more you can integrate your shadow, the more you can do things that bring you that accountability, like lifting weights, starting hobby that works in your favor, martial art, boxing, meditation, all of these will make you able to not only let go of victim mentality, but face those traumas and those negative emotions you might have inside. Face the shadow side. The more you can be authentic, the more you can be loving towards yourself and loving to yourself and accountable to yourself, the more you can grow. Even if you go through growing pains, but you can become, as I said, just a whole, a person that is more whole, a person that takes responsibility, that is accountable and does not blame anybody. He understands society, he understands himself and know what to do to move forward. And by virtue of loving yourself, of being accountable, of working on self, it does not only benefit you, but it benefits the people around you. I remember that speech from that admiral, the one who talks about making your bed as the number one thing you should do every morning because it's a victory. It's the first victory you have in your day. And I love this and I actually believe it. It's, and, and he also said that at the very least, at the end of the day, maybe you have failed the rest of your day, but at the very least, you sleep in a well made bed. And it's a funny way of saying it, but I do agree with it. In his amazing speech, he said that you might encounter 1,000 person in your life, and each of those people will encounter 1,000 more. So in a few generations, you can change the world, but you cannot change the world if you're constantly blaming others. And the people you encounter in your life, you spew negativity and hatred and victim mentality. But when you integrate yourself, when you integrate your shadow, when you work on yourself, when you are more whole, more self, actually, you can actually impact people more positively. So any person who encounter you will have some of that positivity, and that positivity can spread along. So do not neglect your role in your community, your role in this world. Yes, you can get involved in politics, but don't neglect the small, incredibly powerful act, an exponential act of working on yourself, because that can touch not only yourself, but also a lot of people around you, and they can touch other people themselves. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Sebastian, your addiction recovery coach, and I'm here to help those of you give up on desexualize their mind and other addictive compulsions and behavior like victim mentality. Links are in the description box below. Shoot me a text if you want to know more, and I'll see you very soon. I'm very sure I can help you, whatever problem you have. Thank you so much.